Hello, and welcome to the show Goldsquadrongays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars-loving gays break down each episode of their favorite Star Wars TV shows, while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
And I'm Charles Rogers, coming to you from my iPhone, because literally as we set up to do this emergency recording, at the last minute, my computer's audio drivers just decided to fall over and die. In classic Star Wars fashion, just fall over and die the second we needed them.
Right.
I apologize for my general audio. I know I promised the audio issues were over, but it turned out the Force had other ideas.
Right. Well, I'm not worried. I'm not too worried about it. You sound fine. I'm sure as long as your headphones don't short circuit or something, we'll be okay.
Knowing my luck, they might.
Right.
To quote Sid from this episode, I don't think we're that lucky.
Right.
But a bit of podcast behind the scenes. Bradley has recorded episodes on his iPhone before, and our guest Clayton/Hydra, because she records generally from the road. Guys, if you want to know what the life of a podcasting producing team sounds like, it's a lot of this and bitching about Marvel shit.
Right. I'm waiting for the day. I'm waiting for the day when we just have a producer. We don't have to do anything ourselves. We're just there to show up, and we just need to talk. That's all. That's what I want.
If only. Unfortunately, we are both trained producers, so
right.
That's part of the problem. Before we dive in to the episode, which get ready, folks, get excited because this one's going to be spicy. This is my least favorite episode of the Bad Batch thus far.
Oof.
I want to talk about two news things. One, LGBTQ plus related and TV related. Real fast, the LGBTQ plus one. I have been reading the Wave of the High Republic. So I read The Rising Storm and I've read Race to Crash Point Tower. It is so gay. Like, comparatively, it is so gay. I actually wrote down 3 characters that I wanted to spotlight.
Okay.
Real fast. This is totally self-indulgent. This is completely self-indulgent.
All right.
But I wanted to bring up Kentum Tsai. They are a human Jedi Master that is featured in the High Republic Adventures. So they were there first, but they've now appeared in Race to Crash Point Tower. What's cool about Kentum Tsai is that they are non-binary.
Okay.
And referred to by they, them pronouns in a children's book, which I thought was pretty cool, personally. Ty Yorick, who appears in Race to Crash Point Tower, but is identified to be a lesbian, I think. I think she's implied to just be into women in The Rising Storm.
Okay.
And then Kit Repso is the other character, who is the Supreme Chancellor's son, who his whole subplot in The Rising Storm is like he shows up with his mom to the Republic Fair and immediately just starts crushing on this other politician's kid and keeps trying to awkwardly find ways to spend time alone with him. And that ends up playing a role in the actual plot of the book.
Okay.
So remember when I said last week, I made the offhand comment, I'm sure it's gay. I'm sure hoping it's going in that direction. Without spoiling, it goes in that direction. But the reason I liked that subplot particularly so much was I was imagining myself at age 15, 16, when I was sort of questioning my sexuality and how comfortable I was in trying to overcome those hurdles. If I had read something as simple as this particular subplot about an awkward gay teenager in a Star Wars book, that would have helped me so much. And I think it's awesome that they're putting that in there now.
Yeah.
So that people like me growing up now maybe it could help them. So totally self-indulgent, but I wanted to bring up the High Republic is really good. It's really gay. I'm still trying to talk Bradley into figuring out a way that he can experience these, but we may have to wait for the Acolyte for you, Bradley. I'm not sure. Hopefully it keeps the gayness.
I was going to say, we're going to have to wait for the Acolyte, and then maybe if the Acolyte is really popular, they'll go and retroactively make the High Republic stuff into TV shows or something.
They might. I can definitely see gaps, and we're only in. So this is wave 2 of phase 1, and phase 1 is mostly just books and comics right now.
Oh,
they've talked about expanding out into other stuff, like the Acolyte.
Right. So maybe like if they, I don't know, this is just me guessing. Maybe once these stories are kind of setting up all these characters and people like are attached enough, they'll go, hey, let's make a cartoon show out of it and then call it a day. And then be like,
They've done some neat little animations that you can find at like introducing the characters that are pretty neat. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that when it branches out into other media, it keeps up the level of representation it's got. Because seeing a non-binary character referred to by they, them pronouns in a children's book was awesome. That's cool. Applause to Del Rey for that. Moving on to the TV thing.
Yes.
So today, at time of recording this, it is Friday night. Is it Friday, Bradley?
Well, it's Saturday for me, but
it's Saturday. Time has no meaning for anyone. So earlier today, now it is just rumors at this point. Nothing has been confirmed by the trades or Lucasfilm Limited, but a lot of people who are generally reliable have broke the story today and corroborated the story today. They have found their Thrawn and Ezra. And again, we don't normally cover rumors, but I thought the amount we talk about Thrawn and Ezra on this show, this was a big enough, it seemed, confirmation that I wanted to run these names by you, Bradley, and see what you thought. So, surprising no one, the report is that Thrawn will be reprised by Lars Mikkelsen, playing him in real. So we get another Katie Sackhoff situation where he moves from the voice.
Okay.
And then the word on the street is that Mena Massoud has been cast in the role of Ezra. And Mena Massoud, apologies if I'm mispronouncing that name, is best known and really kind of only known for playing Aladdin in the live action film.
Wasn't that name thrown around a while ago?
It was one of several names that was thrown around a while ago.
I mean, I'm not shocked at all. I'm just saying, I just thought maybe he was too old to play.
Well, it is. How long has it been? It's been 10 years, 15 years since the events of Rebels.
Is it? I thought Rebels. No, you're right, because Rebels is right before New Hope, basically.
Yeah, so he was born on Empire Day. So that would make him. We found the thing I should have researched before we started recording.
Right. He's like 15 or 16 or something?
Yeah, he's like 15 or 16. Mandalorian is 7 years.
Okay.
It would be safe to say it's been about 15 years. Yeah, he would be the right age.
That's fine. He's not too old, so I guess.
And based on what he said about like how difficult it's been for him to find roles even after Aladdin, I think he needs to cash another Disney check, frankly.
Okay, you know what? That makes sense. Maybe it's kind of like one of those like we owe you kind of situations. Like you were you headlined a major Disney property remake live action for us. Therefore, we owe you at least 2 more things.
Or like we know we can work with you kind of thing.
Right. It's kind of like good. Okay.
He's in with them. He, and it would have been very easy for him to be super frustrated with Disney after he couldn't get any really roles after the fact. but he didn't really badmouth him that much. So I think it's a good choice. I liked the live action Aladdin while acknowledging it was garbage. I will say I liked it, and his performance was part of what I liked about it. I thought he played off Will Smith very well. He got kind of screwed over by the movie he was in, so it would be nice to see him doing something else.
So, whereas like I do agree with that, I still think that the voice actor Taylor Gray could also play him though. Like it wouldn't be that much of a stretch. Like
I will give you that Taylor Gray, he might be a little young.
He's 27.
He look a little young.
That's true, but I mean, maybe if he can grow facial hair, like, it's not a big deal. I just want everybody to know that the only reason why we're going off topic so badly is because this episode of Bad Batch was so bad.
Oh, it wasn't.
Okay, sorry. No, that's the wrong way. I shouldn't have said that.
All Star Wars is good Star Wars.
Yes, exactly.
But this is the discount gas station. You remember a couple of episodes ago you got on my case for eating the roller grill so much at QT?
Yes.
Okay, this is QT roller grill at 2 a.m. of Star Wars episodes. This was not a good episode.
It was filler. Like, there was so much filler in this episode. LA called and they said, why did you guys steal all of our filler for all the housewives? Like, we need this back.
Overall, I'll start with my impression of the episode. I had two big issues with it. Nobody really made a choice. And this has been an issue throughout the Bad Batch. No character really had to make a choice. And in Screenwriting 101, they teach you a character making a choice is what defines the plot of anything. And in this one, no characters really made choices. The other issue I had is that it's an idiot plot, which means that the plot only works if everyone in it is an idiot.
Yeah. Because
they make some staggeringly stupid decisions in this episode.
My overall impression and I guess I'll just say one good thing about the episode that I liked was I felt like this episode at least gave Sid some airtime to do something other than be the quest giver. I do agree. And she sort of has a moment that I did note and we'll get to where it almost does seem like there is some character development happening for Sid, but it's literally one line. Yeah. I mean, I genuinely thought, like, watching this, I was like, oh, we're going to get something different. Like, maybe she's going to learn some lesson where it's like, you can't always be the one in charge, or like, I don't know, like she has to maybe move on with her life because you can't just be, like a sketchy kind of person. I don't know. There was just no lesson to be learned. It was just very much like, okay, now I'm back to like my job. Thank you.
Everything status quo is restored.
Right. At the very end of the episode, it was like, it was such a weird detour. Like it was just odd choices, everything. It
didn't really go anywhere. Everything was kind of back to normal.
We didn't even leave the planet.
Episode. We did not, which I was fine with, but it really was like if you just plucked this episode completely out,
it would not affect the plot.
Well, there are some cool references and things in there, so let's dive in and get this started. We open with the Bad Batch returning from an off-screen mission. I am sort of hoping that they maybe kind of fill some of these in later with little one-offs, maybe in like young readers' books or something. I think it'd be cool to see some of these other missions they've gone on. But they return from one of these missions. Tech mentions, a lot of my notes are going to be, oh, this is a reference to this, because there was nothing the fuck else to talk about in this episode.
Right.
Tech mentions, or no, it's Hunter that mentions that the landing zone was infested with Gundarks. Gundarks mentioned in Empire Strikes Back, and again in Attack the Clones, and finally seen in the Clone Wars, where they gave Anakin and Obi-Wan trouble. So it's impressive these guys took some of them on. Tech is annoyed because Sid won't give them crucial mission intel. They wander back into Sid's bar and find it full of people.
I wrote down full of cops, ? Like I wasn't sure what they were.
what's going on here? They do kind of look like the Coruscant cops.
Yeah, I was like, are they soldiers? Are they cops? They're not clones, so I was like, I wasn't quite sure what they were.
Well, we get a little hint what they are because as the Bad Batch walks towards Sid's office, we can see several of the Pikes walking out in an early bird cameo. That they will mention later. They will explain that our main antagonist is working for the Pikes, but we do actually see them leave the office. They enter the office, Sid's office, and discover that it has been taken over. Now, I went to Wikipedia. Actually, when I watched this last night for the first time, I paused on the credits. Wikipedia, the guy's name. It's Roland Durand.
Okay.
It seems like he's a cameo. It feels like he's a cameo.
Oh, you mean the voice actor?
Well, the voice actor's probably been in other things. I didn't check because we really didn't have time.
Oh, okay.
But the character I thought would be seems like he should be a cameo. He's not.
No.
And neither him nor the mother that will be mentioned several times this episode.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like he's
have ever come up anywhere before.
Oh, I thought you were thinking like, oh, he's just a different Deveronian we've seen earlier in Rebels.
Correct.
And I was like,
I thought he might be Vizago, and several people on Twitter also thought that he might be Vizago initially.
Right.
But he's not. He is hot though.
Okay, yeah, I wrote down. Okay, so I looked up a picture of Vizago because I was like, I remember I was like, this is not the first time we've seen a green Deveronian, and I was like, let me look him up because I was like, this guy is like unusually hot. Like it was weird. Like he was sexy, and I was like, this is interesting. And then I looked up the picture of Vizago. Now, to be fair, the animation's slightly different, but Vizago's not hot. He's just an average-looking Deveronian, and the only other Deveronian we've seen was in Mandalorian, and he was fat and ugly. So this guy's hot.
We've seen one for like 2 seconds in A New Hope. There was like a devil mask that they bought at fucking Party City or something to slap on. Like this guy was smoldering.
Yeah, Roland.
Like Roland's absolutely like just has no business being as hot as he is.
Yeah, it was weird.
No business.
His like angles on his face, like he looked like they made him like look handsome on purpose. Like it was a choice.
I have a theory about this.
Yes.
And we will get to it later in the episode as to why he's as likable as he is. So Omega recognizes the pet. Now, before I tell you whether or not what's going on here, Bradley, do you remember if we have seen this pet before?
Okay, so the only reason why I'm assuming we have is because Omega recognizes the damn thing and calls it a name. And she's like, oh, look, it's Ruby. And I was like, do we fucking know what this thing is? Like, have we seen
I had the exact same reaction.
Like,
I was like, what is
was this
going
from
on?
the first fucking episode? Like, I genuinely did not know if we've seen this thing before.
I looked it up. It is from episode 7.
I believe. The fuck up.
It is episode 7, I believe, which is the one with Rex.
I thought you were going to say 2 or 3.
Nope. So what that is...
What?
That is in the opening sequence of that episode.
Yeah.
They're fleeing like from pursuers.
Okay.
Away from the planet. And they have this thing in a box. And the thing gets loose and jumps on Wrecker. Or something happens with Wrecker.
Okay.
There's slapstick. And then they hand it over to Sid, and that's the end of it.
Wow.
Like, it's literally like this random thing that they picked up in the episode.
That was so, like, I genuinely was like, was there a whole... I was, like, literally thinking in my head, like, she called it something, so I was like, is there a subplot that I don't remember? Like...
It's part of the first 2 minutes of Battle Scars, and then is never brought up again until now.
Okay, well, that was unfortunate because I don't know. Like, that was bad.
Maybe they intended the show to be more like bingeable after the fact. But if that's the
Yeah.
case, why not drop the whole thing?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, like why? Because you're right. That is something that like only like you would see on something like Netflix, where like you can only do it for a second in the first or second episode because then you're just going to see it again 6 or 7 episodes later, and you've already been watching them in order, and they're only 22 minutes long anyway. So
Yeah, like if
would
you
have
were
recognized
watching
it.
this would be like an hour and a half or so later.
Right. And you're like,
2
oh,
hours
okay.
later.
You're like, I
And
get
it'd be
it.
like, oh, okay, that's the thing.
Yeah.
When it's 5 weeks from now,
Yeah.
you're like, what?
Yeah.
What is going
no.
on here exactly?
Well, what's worse is like in, 3 weeks when the finale comes out, I'm not even going to remember this fucking thing then.
Watch, it'll be like a huge part of the plot of it.
Yeah, it's got like midichlorians like in its asshole or something.
It's
like
forced.
All right.
So Omega, they discover that Sid has been kicked out. Hunter's like, well, nothing to be done, I guess.
Gotta go
and
home.
Omega's like, we gotta help Sid, which is a very like, it's contrasting Hunter's more mercenary attitude with Omega, kind of I've talked about last time.
Right.
Omega kind of being the heart of the team, keeping Hunter on the path. Part of my issue with this is Hunter never actually has a chance to tell Omega that they're not going to do it like directly after she says anything before Sid interrupts. This is the first of many times that the addition of 1 or 2 lines of dialogue could have amped up the emotional stakes, and they just didn't.
Right. It's also like it kind of takes away the decision-making process. Like it's very much
Right.
like before he can say, "Oh, this is why we're not going to go save her." Sid's like, "Well, of course only one of you likes me."
Right, which I mean,
like,
Sid was the best thing in this episode.
Yeah, no,
by far.
I'm not gonna really give any critique to Sid. The only thing is that they did kind of use her as kind of I don't want to say the MacGuffin of the episode, but very much like she's the only thing that moves the plot forward. It's weird.
Yeah, there really is no agency displayed by characters in this episode to do things.
Yeah, honestly, just Sid is the only person who
Sid
has anything. Has any kind of agency whatsoever, because it's her job, I guess, on the line.
Yeah, she makes all the decisions. Like Omega jumps in the next scene of the ship when Sid is like, "Oh, I've been keeping your secrets," and Omega immediately jumps in and is like, "We have to help her." It's like, Omega, she just tried to blackmail you. What the fuck are you doing, girl? But
yeah,
Hunter is immediately like, okay, fine, we're gonna help Sid.
Yeah,
not even resisting that hard. Sid does mention an Issa Durand. This character has, to my understanding, never been mentioned before and is mentioned like 4 times throughout the episode, which is weird. Put a pin in that because that goes back to my theory.
Okay.
Sid says that her plan is to steal rather than go after Roland directly. Sid is going to steal spice from Roland to make a deal with the Pikes fall through, which, in fairness, is not a bad plan.
Right. My only issue with the plan is that it seems like a very roundabout way to like get rid of Roland. Like it's very much like, let's let somebody else do the dirty work while we do minor dirty work to make it happen. Like, I don't know.
Well, that's sort of what makes the plan work, is that if you can piss off the Pikes to do it for you, so that everybody wins. Sid doesn't even have to be involved. Pikes don't even have to know who she is.
Right.
And they clearly do, but it also ends up not working.
Yeah.
For stupid reasons that we'll get to later. I'm sorry if you liked this episode. I am just going to tear it to pieces.
Well, I'll tell you,
because
I was going to say on my TV Time app, only 50% of people said, wow, this was a good episode. So that's like 5 stars. Wow is 5 stars. 25% said it was still great. Another 25 said it was good. And then me and everybody else, who's whatever the rest of the percentages of
Bradley,
0.
that is up to 0%.
Well, I was just about to say 0% said it was okay, and 0%, like me, said it was bad. So
you'll have to forgive Bradley. He's a twink who doesn't do
math. I'm just saying, my 0% said it was bad. So
your 0% said it was bad. Somebody on Twitter said that, like a few hours before the episode went live, is like, "Oh, this is going to be a very dark episode." And then we get to the episode. It's like half takes place in this cave, and I'm like, I see what you did there. It's kind of a funny joke, actually.
I hate cave episodes like that, or just like in general, because it's just like, why? Like, the lighting's never going to be good. Like, you're not going to be able to show anything in the episode. Like,
when you're using it like the way that Rebels episode used it with the abandoned base, like when you're using effectively, talked about like dark and light interplay in Mandalorian, it's really good. Here, it almost feels like there's points where they could have gone darker in order to contrast it.
Well, almost make it scarier.
But I mean, I'm still perpetually impressed by the animation. Like, it's still really, really good. It's just like,
right.
I feel like you could have gone a little darker here to make it more scary. Did you catch what the mine cars are almost certainly a reference to?
They are a reference to the video game Minecraft, which is popular with children ages 6 to 12.
Jesus.
That has to be it. No, obviously it is. It's got to be a reference to Attack of the Clones. And it would be just I guess you call it the droid factory scenes.
No, but that's a really good point. No,
I was thinking like Padme and the thing where it moves
So I had read it as a reference to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, I thought we were going with Star Wars references, but okay, fine. We're just going with Steven Spielberg references. That's cool.
Well, also George Lucas references.
Oh, that's right. He's a duh. I was like,
Lucasfilm owns Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And obviously, Harrison Ford's, Carbonite Dream is Indiana Jones Saga. So I get it.
Yes, that is exactly how it works. So he might have been at these mine carts at one point.
And that's
maybe
why
we'll see that in the Lando show.
Right.
So the mine carts probably a reference to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, particularly with the chase that happens later on. I did not go actually watch the scene to confirm it, but that's what I thought. They head towards the way in, and it's apparently going to take them to a hive, which Sid mentions when they're right outside the door, which, Sid, you need to mention more things before they become relevant, honey. Like, stop it.
I hate that.
I had a note here. Oh God, is spiders. This is my reaction because I had listened on another podcast. I couldn't remember which one, but they were talking about how often Dave Filoni uses spiders.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they were going to do the Force spiders or whatever.
Clone Wars, and then he'd use them in Rebels, and then again in Mandalorian. And when I saw the webbing, I was like, oh God, is it going to be spiders again? It wasn't.
Actually, I thought it was going to be those spiders, but I don't think they didn't really, I mean, I guess a little bit in Rebels towards the end, but they didn't really swarm like the creatures do in this episode. Like, they weren't very swarmy.
Creatures in this episode are called earlings.
Okay. I
didn't really have a chance to look at, images of them still and not moving.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, I never really, I mean, they kind of show them a little bit at one point when they're getting attacked, but I couldn't really tell what they were other than bat-like. I just didn't know what they were. Yeah,
they're kind of bat things. Wrecker drops a thing down the shaft like a dumbass. They really made Wrecker not as smart in this episode, which was another thing that bothered me. Because he's not dumb generally, but things when he's firing the blaster later.
Yeah.
And things like that. I also got serious like Mines of Moria vibes. The way it was like rattling on the way down after he dropped it. It's just I'm a huge nerd who loves Lord of the Rings, so
Gotcha.
that's what I thought when I saw that. Back in the bar, Sid's accomplices steal Ruby by luring Ruby out. I did want to note that they brought in a Pantoran bartender.
I don't know if that was just they felt like doing that, or you think there was like a specific reason.
Nope. By this point, I was already so bored and frustrated with the episode that I was starting to notice the little details. Like, why did they bring in a random Pandoran bartender?
Right.
To do this? And I wonder if we've seen this guy before. And actually, I wonder if that's the guy that has the really bad day.
No, with his car getting stolen.
I need to check and see if those are similar models because I'm hoping that's the same guy.
Okay, wait. This makes that storyline even better because now I'm remembering it. So not only did
I want to know this guy's story.
So like, not only
shit keeps happening to him.
The story that I came up with, if I remember correctly, was that Fennec Shan crashed his car. And then he was on his way to his wife to deliver flowers or something to her, and he could never get there. And then his wife needed to borrow the car, so she was late to her job, and then she got fired. And then now they're both out of jobs, so he had to get a job as a bartender to make some quick money. So
this guy's life has just sucked.
If it's the same guy.
So the Bad Batch gets into the office. Sid is like gross, apparently. That is a lot of spice that she was keeping in the office. That is a lot. I think it was her spice.
Oh, see, I read it as he just randomly put it there because it was.
I think her exact line was, "He is going to sell spice that I was keeping in the back room."
Well,
something like that.
That's on her.
But that is a lot of spice.
Yeah, that was too much.
That is not a small amount of spice.
Right.
The pair that they get to kidnap Ruby fucks up and runs away and rushes back, but it is too late to stop them. And I'm like, there's a sequence where he runs into the closet and like pulls the thing back. I'm like, you didn't have your people like check the thing for obvious secret passages.
Also, I didn't quite understand why if she stored it there or if he moved it, why would you like put on top of a secret exit?
Maybe if she put it there, she thought that in the event she needed to dump it really fast,
she could just throw it down the mine shaft.
She could just throw it down the mine shaft and bring it back up later.
Right.
But then that begs the question of why she doesn't just store it in the mine shaft.
Yeah, because then it's like a real secret.
She's leaving it sitting. I don't know. I have so many questions about this episode. It makes very little sense. So it's an action sequence where they're running away from the guards that are chasing them. And they accidentally get attacked by the bugs and they lose the spice. And I want to say one thing that really annoyed me and one thing I really liked. The thing that really annoyed me was at one point they say, okay, go ahead and activate the motors. Earlier in the episode, Tech said, if you give me a minute, I can get the motors running.
Right.
And Sid said, no, don't do that. So they used the hand cranks.
Right. I
now
noticed that too.
You flip a switch and the motors can go. When did Tech fix them? Because he was up moving the spice down.
And why did he fix all 16 of the carts and not just the 2 they were riding on?
Well, they do only hit the motors on the 2 they're riding on.
No, I'm talking about the bad guys.
Oh.
They also hit their switch.
Really?
To catch up with them.
That makes no sense.
I know, that's my point.
Tech is very rarely wrong about technology and things. Like, that's not Tech's character flaw. One of his strengths is that he's very knowledgeable. So, like,
I don't know.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I felt like it was a little bit of a loss.
Works.
Yeah, they kind of fucked up on that one.
I did like Omega whipping out her light bow and just seeing it in action more.
Yeah. See, I don't even remember that happening. So that's how zoned out I was in this episode.
How many times did you watch it?
Once.
once, just the once.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah, I watched
it. It was really hard.
I watched it twice. I watched it last night and was whelmed. And then I watched it again today, right before I did a little bit of streaming. And I actually, the more I studied it, the more I disliked it.
Yeah, that's why I was like, honestly, if I don't like it after one viewing, I'm like, if I look at it again, I'm gonna be able to pick it apart more, and I couldn't do that to myself.
It's one of those episodes I'll watch as part of the overarching marathons. Like if I were to marathon the whole show, I would obviously watch it as part of that, but it's not an episode I would voluntarily pull up and watch.
Right, exactly.
It's not an episode like I'm gonna get drunk on White Claws and decide to put something on the TV. This is not something I'm going to pick.
Exactly.
So the aliens that they're with squeal to Roland, but the Pikes show up and are pissed. The Pikes being the only semi-reasonable people in this episode.
Right.
Because they're like, no, actually, we're going to murder you. But then they're like going to take him away. I guess they just don't want to get him down right there. They mention Obadiah, or he mentions Obadiah. He says, go back to Obadiah. Obadiah is the Pike homeworld. We've seen it before in Clone Wars, in the Lost missions, and then we saw it again. That's where Ahsoka and the Martez sisters were held. So I suspect the Pikes are kind of a cameo, but I'm not prepared to call them one. Just because they are a thing that exists in the universe.
Yeah.
But they probably did use the assets from season 7 of the Clone Wars.
Oh, you know what? I was misspeaking when I was talking to somebody about this episode earlier. I was confused.
You talked to other people about Star Wars besides me.
I know, it's crazy, right?
Shockingly,
Bradley
has
wrong.
Friends.
I was wrong this time. So I thought Pike was just the name of the crime syndicate, not the name of the species, which it is the name of the species. What's weird is that we've seen one live action, and it was in the Solo movie, and it was on the spice mines of Kessel, the guy with like the keys in his hand or whatever, like the slave owner guy or whatever is a Pike. So that's what they look like. I misconstrued. There was another, because they have these weird like things coming out of their face that look like mouths or something, or like little weird mouth things. And I was comparing it to one of the aliens we see in the cantina in the original Star Wars that has like a weird tube for a mouth. And I was comparing it to that. And I don't know why that just random. I
think it's a Talls.
Okay, it is called a Muftak.
What the fuck is a Muftak?
I don't know. That's, for some reason, I thought that's what a Pike was, and that
sounds like a Star Wars sex position.
A Muftak is a male Talls. What is a Talls? Oh, the species is Talls. Oh, Muftak is his name.
I was right. It is a Talls.
Okay, sorry. Muftak was his name. A Talls is what I was thinking what the Pikes were, because they have the same, like, they have like a weird mouthpiece thing. And I was confusing that because they have this weird eyes and stuff. And so I was like, okay. So I clearly know nothing about Star Wars. Let's move on.
Because I just saw what my next note was.
Okay, what's your next note?
This is by far the stupidest decision that anyone makes in the entire episode.
Okay, great.
So Sid thinks that the plan has worked, but she does not have confirmation that people have actually left the bar. So instead of trying to find her two dumbasses or sending in one of the Bad Batch to do some recon on the bar and see if they're like gone, or just something, waiting for 48 hours.
Right.
She's like, let's head straight back in there with everyone together and just assume they're gone. So they're walking out of the office literally right at the moment that they walk in and see the bodies. And I'm like, Sid, what the fuck? What the fuck? You couldn't have given it 6 hours
She could
to
have
make
given it
sure
30 minutes and it would have been enough time. I mean, damn.
Yeah, like seriously.
And I also just didn't like how quickly the plan falls apart. Like it literally, they walk back in and all of a sudden Sid's like, they're like, well, we don't have the spice, but we know where it is. Like, why would you say anything? Why wouldn't you just be like, I don't know what you're talking about? Like,
well, because the Pikes make the correct decision to just kill everyone in the room and not bother with these people anymore.
Oh, that's very smart. Yeah, that's true.
And since Omega is in the room, that's why Hunter jumps. So Hunter's actions here do make sense.
Gotcha.
That he jumps in and is like,
that's fair.
I'm going to protect Omega. There's a great moment where they're like, we're going to leave. You got to leave the kid here basically as a hostage, as collateral. And all of the Bad Batch draws their guns and is like, just do not fuck with Omega at all when the Bad Batch is standing there. But here's what irked me, right? So Sid kind of turns around and is like, you don't know who you're dealing with. We need to do this. And then they smash cut to them walking into the hangar. And somebody's like, are you sure it was a good idea to leave Omega with them? I'm like, that all happened off screen. So whatever Omega's reaction was to being left behind, whatever the Bad Batch's reaction was to having to leave her behind, any moments we could have gotten between Hunter, like this could have been a big moment to have Hunter have to leave Omega, and we didn't get it. It just cut straight to them.
Yeah. I don't know. I almost felt like this was also a cheap way to make Omega not be in the scene because she couldn't do anything in this upcoming, like, you know what I mean? Like they felt like the writers felt like, okay, Omega's worthless in this next scene. There's nothing she can do. All we need to do is pretend to get the spice. We can't get the spice because the bats are going to come. You know, I just, it was just, weird.
This episode is a lot of terrible decisions made by the characters, but also missed moments.
Yeah.
I think I could have stomached some of the terrible decisions if they were setting up these good character moments, but we really only get one. And it actually comes right up when they get on the ship where Sid says, I got her into this mess. I'm going to get her out. It's the best line in the episode because it shows that the reason Sid is sticking her neck out is because Omega's in trouble.
Right.
And Sid is partly responsible, owns up to being partly responsible, which we have never seen Sid do up to this point, and says, it is my responsibility too to help take care of her.
Sid's the only one that gets anything remotely good in this episode, I guess. I was going to say, the only reason I felt nervous, though, when I was watching this, because Sid basically gets this like hero kind of story line right in here. And I was like, are they setting up Sid to die?
God, I hope not.
Like I genuinely felt like that's what was going to happen. Maybe not this episode, but I definitely felt like they were setting her up to die. Like it was like she needs to sacrifice herself. You know?
Remember I mentioned at the top of the episode where I said screenwriting 101, every good screenplay is about a character making a choice. A character has to make a choice. Maybe not every good one, but in general, the good ones are going to be about a character making a choice. No one really makes a choice here. This would have been a moment for Sid to do that.
Yeah.
It would have been a moment for Sid to say, she's in trouble. Even have an opportunity for Sid to walk away.
Yeah, just say, hey, you guys are on your own. Bye. And
then she doesn't. She turns around. If the plot of the episode had been she gets them into this situation, she drags them into it against their will, the whole thing goes to hell, and then she's presented with an opportunity to run. Right. You could do the entire episode up to this point exactly the same. Present her with an opportunity to run and have her not take it.
Yes.
And come back and stay for Omega. It's the same issue I had with the Separatist episode, where it echoes quote unquote choice that he makes does not feel strong enough and also the same issue I had with Finn in Rise of Skywalker, that it's not strong enough in the screenplay itself and the overall story to communicate it.
Right.
So I'm just going off because this episode is like a slew of moments that irked me.
I was going to say, take us through the next action sequence so we can get to the end so I can talk about your theory is.
Yeah, we gotta blow through this to the end. So I am confused about the location of the spice. They fly out to like this ravine, but it like was dumped into the tunnels, I guess, which are supposed to be between the hangar-ish and the bar. I don't know. I was confused why they had to go outside of the city. Someone leave a comment explaining to me why they had to leave that, because I'm dumb. The repelling harness, I want to bring those up. They look a lot like they're a nod to the First Order technician uniforms that have the repelling harnesses on them. And then also the resistance sort of mining gear, I think, that they use. You wouldn't have seen this because I think you only watched season 1 of Resistance.
I watched all of season 1. I watched like the first 2 episodes of season 2.
We're going to get you to watch Resistance at some point. Just listen to Jaguys and Jedi, Bradley. They go through every episode of Resistance in detail. You will learn to appreciate this fucking show.
Ugh, gosh, I can tell you, honestly, I'd probably rather watch this episode again than watch Resistance.
One day we will watch Resistance together, and that will be the prime content. I wanted to bring it to repelling harnesses because it's poetry, it's rhymes. Omega has a nice scene where it seems like she's going to go for the blaster, highlighting that, she's in that soldier mindset of, okay, I need to free myself. Durant tells her not to do it. They bond. It's a nice scene. Sid and Wrecker make for an interesting duo. I wish they'd explored this a little bit more. They don't. They retrieve the spice and they're on their way up. I like that it's Sid's cart that knocks the thing down and not Wrecker's.
Yes, because like Sid was the one the whole entire episode being like, be quiet, don't
be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. And she's the one that sets the earlings off. I did like that. Here's what I really loved about this climax sequence. The whole show, we have been bitching about Tech. Why is he here? What does he do besides say the wrong thing at the wrong time to people and build a scanner one time and fly the ship?
Right.
This episode shows what Tech actually does. He's forward thinking. He's already formulating this plan. We saw him earlier in the scene. He's the one that says they react badly to light. He's already proactively building this device and just quickly from random things around the ship is able to basically make a giant flashbang grenade.
Yeah, I thought that was great because one, it gave him something to do.
Hooray! Tech has done something.
Other than fly the ship. And so it's nice that he did something. Although, where was Echo in this episode? Am I like confused? Am I misconstruing?
Echo is still on the ship. I think he was flying it. I think he was holding it in position while Tech did his thing.
So prove me wrong. Did he even speak in this episode?
Yes.
When?
I specifically noted that Echo was the one to ask when the bar got so crowded because I thought it was weird that for some reason that Echo was the one delivering that line.
Okay, so
but I guess they needed Echo to say something.
Yeah.
Oh, and he says, "I got the door," and then jams the door.
Okay. So
that's Echo's contribution to this episode.
He had 2 sentences this whole entire episode.
Some people have said that Echo and Tech should have been combined to do a single character.
I agree.
I don't agree.
Really?
I think there is a value to be mined from Echo as a former reg. I think it's indicative of the found family aspect of it, to where they treat Echo as one of their own, even though he was formerly a reg. I also think the show is not exploring these things at all. And so it kind of is a missed opportunity, but I think conceptually they work as two different characters. Wrecker, somebody noted, I think it was the Roophouse Podrace account, noted on Twitter, Wrecker is fine with blaster bolts, but is afraid of bugs, which is peak himbo culture. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was funny rewatching this episode. So we get to the final scene. What happens in the final scene is the Pikes are basically, again, doing the smart thing. The Pikes are smart in this. They say, we got our spice back. We're good. We have no quarrel with you. Durand, on the other hand, we have beef with. So they basically pin him down. Omega tries to be like, you need to show him mercy. Sid actually agrees with her and says, even after everything he did, Sid was like, just say it's a bad deal and walk away.
Right.
And the Pikes are like,
we don't do bad deals.
Nah.
We don't do bad deals.
They chop his horn off.
Now, I was going to say, Roland says at the end of the episode, he says, it's a small price to pay. Now, I don't think he would say that if it grows back. I was thinking like this was like a deer situation. Like,
they don't seem to grow back.
Right. So he's permanently disfigured for the rest of his life.
He's permanently disfigured for the rest of his life. There's two interesting things to note with this interaction. The first is Sid says, if you do this, you'll be starting a war with Issa Durand. Who the fuck is this person?
Yeah, why do they keep mentioning it?
It's a good question. I'm about to answer it, but I also want to note Roland has a unique model, face and voice. We spent a lot of time on him.
Yeah.
And we know that by the time of Rebels, Vizago operates for something called the Broken Horn Syndicate. So my theory is that that Bad Batch Season 2 is coming.
Okay.
And they are setting up things in this episode that will be relevant for Bad Batch Season 2 and into the Lando show that they are developing.
Okay, I can see where the Lando show comes in only because the fact that they're bringing up the Pikes in this episode and because they brought them up in the end of the Clone Wars final season, I was thinking they're going to bring back Kira and they're going to bring back Darth Maul in some capacity from the Solo storyline.
Probably in some capacity. Kira is playing a major role in War of the Bounty Hunters, which is ongoing. So we're going to see. I have Marvel Unlimited now. They put comics on there 6 months after they come out or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So I've been catching up on the past 5 years of Star Wars comics. So I'll get to War of the Bounty Hunters at some point, but Kira is playing a major role in that. Spoilers for War of the Bounty Hunters. I guess I just already spoiled it. But no, my theory is Issa Durand may be a major player in the underworld that they're sitting because they've been itching to do this War in the Underworld story forever. But Roland is going to be a major ally of theirs going into season 2. And season 2 is going to be more about the underworld. The Pikes are going to be involved. Issa Durand is going to be involved.
Interesting. I don't mind it. I just think it would be a weird choice. Like, if you're going to do the Star Wars Underground show that existed all the way back in the whenever, why don't they just do it? Like,
you're talking about Underworld, which was not strictly speaking about an underworld war. Like, that's what Solo was supposed to be a trilogy.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like, it would build up to this, like, war for control of the underworld. And obviously that did not end up happening. Although there are rumblings that there may be a Solo return in some form. And then obviously they're doing the Lando show.
Right.
So But that's my theory. Within the context of Bad Batch, they wouldn't spend a whole episode reinforcing how scary Issa Durand apparently is if she wasn't going to play a major role. And we have so much we have to deal with this episode, and the last 3 episodes.
And I also thought it was weird at the very, very end, Omega talks about Roland, and she's like, well, if the dog likes him, then like obviously like he's not that bad, so they're setting up some weird like she's gonna have a relationship with him later or something. Like it's weird, like
like they bond through the pet thing, and like they're setting him up as an eventual ally. If it weren't for all the mentions of the mom, if they had just done that for the episode, like he had eventually come around, they had tried to stop the Pikes. Even if they failed, he recognized that, they tried to show me mercy. That would have been one thing. Mm-hmm. The fact they mentioned the mom so much over the course of this episode really led me to be like, they want to reinforce Issa Durand as a person that exists. And I just don't think that whole subplot will have time to come up in the last 3 episodes.
Oh, I know for sure it won't. So because there's only 3 episodes left. So I don't know what that means, because obviously my thought process on the 3 episodes is the next one is either...
The next one is called War Mantle.
Okay, so I don't know what that means, but it's either a standalone by itself, whatever, or it's just going to be a setup episode for the 2-part finale. You
don't know what War Mantle means.
Well, I mean, you explained it earlier, but it means like the cancellation of clones or something. But
yes, it's the major Imperial initiative that forms the backbone of most of this series.
Right. But what I mean by the episode title, calling it War Mantle, it just means setting up the finale of we're going to get rid of the clones.
Yeah, and like if they end up going in the Clone Rebellion direction, they got to give that more than 20 minutes.
Well, they're giving it 40 because they're giving it part 1 and part 2 probably.
Possibly. Like maybe they'll go back to Camino and there'll be a clone uprising like there was in that level of the good Battlefront 2. Well, that's where the episode ended. Bradley, do you have any final thoughts on the episode?
Final thoughts were, I like the new character. I don't know if... My thing is, if this was just a one-off random introduction of this character, they spent a little too much time on him and then also not enough time on him at all. So it would have been a waste if that's the case. It also seems like you're right. There might be more to him than meets the eye robots in disguise. I don't know what the fuck they're planning on doing. I genuinely don't. I still don't believe there's a season 2. So if anything, this episode is making me rescind that theory a little bit because of all the weird stuff they're introducing in this episode. Like, it's just too much stuff. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're setting up stuff that I just don't see them having time to satisfyingly deal with. But at the same time, it is Dave Filoni, and he moves at a breakneck speed.
Yeah. Through
his shows. So I'm still on maybe they'll pull like they did with Loki, and the Bad Batch will return in season 2 randomly at the end of the episode.
I don't know.
All right, let's do socials so I can bleach that episode out of my brain.
Right.
We have a new social to announce. We are on TikTok now. I am 30 and don't know what a TikTok is, but Bradley has assured me that it is hip with the young people. So Bradley, what is our TikTok at so the people can find us?
So our TikTok is going to be at Goldsquadrongays. You guys can find us on there. We will start posting stuff as soon as possible. We want to start growing that as a fun way to, do previews of our episodes, to just do a little bit more content. We may or may not post random shit on there too, because that's kind of what it's for. So, maybe we'll put announcements on there. Maybe we'll put content. Maybe we'll just put recaps on there. You never know what you're going to see on there.
We've been working very, very hard to make sure that it's something that's going to be awesome, something that's going to be of a good quality. We're really proud of what we came up with. So give us a follow at Goldsquadrongays on the TikTok. You can find us on Twitter at Goldsquadgays. You can find us on Instagram at Goldsquadrongays. You can also find me on Twitch at CWRogers6. It's the same as my Twitter handle. We play Star Wars games every Monday. We're currently playing through Fallen Order, although we are reaching the end of it, and I haven't decided what we're playing next, so come over and hang out once the podcast episode drops. Bradley, do the thing so I can go do something else, please.
And check us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gays. Obviously, Thrawn is going to be played by Steve Carell.
Yes.
And, of Office fame. Because, everybody knows that he is a huge, obviously, fan of Thrawn. And why wouldn't
Obviously. He's read all the books. He's read On Flight.
Yeah.
He's read...
he read all the Legends books.
Hand of Thrawn duology. Yep. I was about to list off all the Legends books just then.